Most people spend their entire lives chasing money, working harder, saving scraps, and still feeling like they're barely keeping their heads above water. But what if I told you that the wealthy don't operate this way? What if financial freedom wasn't about how much you earn, but rather about how you use what you already have? Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." This is not just about food. It's about managing resources wisely. The difference between those who struggle financially and those who thrive is a simple concept: cash flow. The rich don't work for money, money works for them. They own assets that generate passive income, allowing them to grow wealth even while they sleep. Ecclesiastes 11:2 gives timeless wisdom. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. This principle is why the wealthy diversify their income sources rather than relying on a single paycheck. But here's the truth no one tells you. Creating passive income isn't reserved for the rich. It's a step-by-step process that anyone can follow. The key is understanding how to allocate money wisely, invest in income-producing assets, and leverage resources without falling into debt traps. If you can master these principles, your financial future will look drastically different from the average person's. So in this video, we're going to break it all down, a simple 3-step plan to build a passive income empire. These are not get-rich-quick schemes. They are time-tested biblical financial principles that have worked for centuries. If you stick with this, you won't just create financial stability, you'll build generational wealth. Now let's dive into step 1, the 70/30ths. Rule the code to financial freedom. The first step to financial freedom isn't about how much you make. It's about how much you keep and use wisely. The 70/30ths. Rule is a simple formula that helps you take control of your money. It works like this: live on 70% of your income, then allocate the remaining 30% strategically. 10% for giving, 10% for paying off debt, and 10% for investing. Proverbs 3:9. 10 reminds us, honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. Giving is not just about generosity. It's a principle of financial multiplication. The first 10% is dedicated to giving. Whether it's tithing to your church or helping others in need, this act aligns your finances with God's principles. Many successful people, even outside of faith, have noticed that givers tend to be wealthier over time. Why? Because generosity shifts the focus from scarcity to abundance. Luke 6:38 says, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap." If you can't give financially, start by giving your time. It opens doors to opportunities you never expected. The second 10% goes toward paying off personal debt. Debt is the #1 reason most people feel stuck financially. Proverbs 22:7 warns, "The borrower is slave to the lender." If you have high-interest debt, every dollar you send to lenders is a dollar that could have been working for you. Instead of drowning in payments, start aggressively eliminating unnecessary debt. Cut expenses, sell what you don't need, and stop borrowing for things that don't generate income. The goal is to free yourself from financial bondage so you can build real wealth. The last 10% is the most important. It's your investment fund. This is the seed that will grow into your financial future. Even if you start small, consistency is key. Jesus illustrated this principle in Matthew 25:14-30 in the parable of the talents. Those who multiplied what they were given were rewarded, while the one who buried his resources lost everything. If you only work for money but never make money work for you, you will always be trapped in the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. Mastering the 70/30ths. Rule isn't about getting rich overnight. It's about developing habits that lead to lasting prosperity. And once you've built a strong foundation with your finances, the next step is learning exactly where to invest and how to create multiple income streams. That's what we'll cover in the next strategy, the 30-30-30-10 strategy, where the wealthy put their money. Once you've mastered the 70/30ths rule and created space in your budget for investments, the next step is knowing where to put your money. This is where most people get lost. They either invest blindly, chase risky trends, or avoid investing altogether out of fear. But the wealthy follow a simple principle. They don't work for money, money works for them. Ecclesiastes 11:2 gives a powerful financial strategy. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. In other words, diversification is key. The 30-30-30-10 rule is a smart way to spread your investments so that you build wealth safely while generating passive income. Here's how it works. 30% in dividend-paying stocks. These are companies that share profits with investors in the form of dividends. Instead of just hoping that stocks increase in value, you get paid regularly for owning them. The best stocks are called dividend kings and dividend aristocrats, companies that have been increasing their dividends for 25+ years, like Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, and Procter & Gamble. Proverbs 13:11 says, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it." The goal is consistent growth over time. 30% in real estate or REITs, real estate investment trusts. Real estate is one of the greatest wealth-building tools in history. While not everyone can buy properties, REITs allow you to invest in real estate with as little as $100. The Bible often speaks about land ownership as a sign of blessing. Psalm 37:29 says, "The righteous will inherit the land and dwell in it forever." Whether through rental properties or REITs, real estate generates passive rental income and appreciates in value over time. 30% in managed investments. This can include ETFs, exchange-traded funds, or index funds, or even private placements where experienced investors manage your money. Many wealthy individuals mirror successful portfolios, such as Warren Buffett's holdings, rather than trying to pick individual stocks themselves. Proverbs 15:22 states, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed." Investing with wisdom means leveraging the knowledge of those who have already mastered the game. 10% in cash or cash equivalents. Every investor needs a financial cushion. This includes cash savings, gold, or other highly liquid assets that can be used in emergencies or to take advantage of investment opportunities. Having cash reserves ensures that you don't have to sell your assets at a loss during a financial crisis. Joseph's 7 years of plenty in Egypt, Genesis 41:29-36, were a perfect example of this principle. He stored up resources to prepare for the famine. By following this strategy, you create multiple streams of income that work together to build wealth steadily. But here's where the real magic happens. The wealthy don't just invest. They also leverage their assets to grow even faster. And that's what we'll discuss next, the power of strategic leverage. The game of leverage. How to multiply your wealth without working harder. We've covered how to allocate money and where to invest it. But here's the real secret the wealthy use to accelerate their wealth. They don't just invest, they leverage. Instead of selling assets to access cash, they borrow against them, allowing their money to keep growing while they use it for new investments. This is what separates those who struggle financially from those who build empires. Proverbs 22:7 reminds us, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender." But the difference is who is doing the borrowing. The rich borrow strategically against their assets, while the poor borrow for consumption. One of the most powerful strategies the wealthy use is called buy, borrow, die. Instead of selling their stocks or properties, which would trigger taxes, they borrow against them at low interest rates, use the money for new investments or purchases, and pass down the assets to their heirs tax-free. For example, if you own a stock portfolio worth $500,000, you can take out a securities-backed loan for 50 to 70% of its value. That's up to $350,000 in cash without selling a single share, meaning your stocks continue to pay dividends and appreciate over time. The same applies to real estate. If you own a property worth $300,000, you can take out a home equity loan to buy another investment property. Instead of using your own money, your assets generate the funds needed to grow your wealth. This is what banks do all the time. They don't just hold cash, they lend it out and make money on the interest. Jesus illustrated this concept in the parable of the talents, Matthew 25:14-30. The servant who invested and multiplied his resources was rewarded, while the one who played it safe and buried his money lost everything. But here's the key: never leverage for personal expenses. Many people fall into the trap of using credit to buy things that don't generate income, like cars or vacations. Instead, leverage should always be used to acquire more income-producing assets. If your investments are paying off your loan, then someone else is financing your wealth, not you. This is why cash flow is more important than net worth. A millionaire with no cash flow can still be broke, while someone with steady passive income can be financially free. When done correctly, strategic leverage turns a slow wealth-building process into a financial snowball. The key is patience, discipline, and understanding how to use assets as tools for expansion. And when all three of these steps, allocation, investment, and leverage, work together, they create something incredible, a financial system that generates wealth for generations. Now that we've covered how to build and multiply wealth, the final step is understanding what happens when you commit to this plan long-term. How does this strategy change your future, and what separates those who succeed from those who stay trapped in financial struggles? Let's dive into that next, the power of consistency. How to turn small steps into massive wealth. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to build wealth is expecting overnight results. They invest for a few months, don't see a massive return, and give up. But the truth is, wealth isn't built in an instant. It's built through consistency. Galatians 6:9 reminds us, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." The key to financial success is not just knowing what to do, but sticking to the plan long enough to see the results. Think of it like planting a tree. In the beginning, you see nothing, just soil and a tiny seed. But as you keep watering it, feeding it, and giving it time, it starts to grow. At first, it's small, but over the years, it becomes a strong, unshakable tree that produces fruit for generations. That's exactly how passive income works. The early stages may feel slow, but over time, compound growth takes over and your wealth begins to multiply exponentially. This is why Proverbs 13:11 states, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it." The wealthy play the long game. Instead of trying to time the market or chase quick profits, they stick to consistent investing, strategic reinvesting, and avoiding emotional decisions. Even during economic downturns, they stay the course, knowing that fortunes are built over decades, not days. If you invest just $500 a month in dividend stocks at an 8% return, in 20 years you'll have over $275,000, and in 30 years over $700,000. The key? Time and consistency. This is where most people fail, not because they don't know what to do, but because they lack patience. They quit before their investments have time to grow. They spend impulsively instead of investing. They doubt the process because they don't see instant results. But those who stay consistent will see their financial future change. Matthew 25:21 says, "You have been faithful with a few things, I will put you in charge of many things." The principle is simple. Be faithful with small amounts and they will turn into great wealth. So the question is, will you stay the course? Will you commit to this plan even when it feels slow? Because those who do will wake up years from now financially free, while everyone else is still stuck in the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. And now, as we move into the conclusion, let's talk about what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. The difference between those who build wealth and those who stay stuck. Most people will hear these principles, nod their heads, and do nothing. That's the difference between those who break free financially and those who stay trapped in the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. James 1:22 warns us, "Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says." The same applies to wealth building. Knowing isn't enough. Action is what transforms your future. Imagine where you'll be 5, 10, or 20 years from now if you start applying these principles today. What if you truly commit to the 70-30ths rule, start investing consistently, and use leverage wisely? Over time, your passive income will grow. Your debts will disappear, and you'll have the financial freedom that so many dream of but few achieve. Proverbs 13:22 states, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." This isn't just about building wealth for yourself, it's about creating a legacy that will last for generations. The truth is, wealth is built step by step, not overnight. There will always be distractions. Get-rich-quick schemes, bad financial advice, and the fear of market downturns. But the wealthy ignore the noise and stay consistent. They don't panic when the market drops. They don't waste money on things that don't bring returns. And they don't let emotions dictate their financial decisions. Ecclesiastes 5:10 warns, "Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income." The goal isn't just to accumulate money, it's to use money as a tool for freedom, impact, and purpose. Write in the comments, "My money will be a tool for God's purpose." And watch how the power of this declaration starts working over your life, finances, and business from now on. Now it's your turn. What will you do with this knowledge? Will you apply these principles and start building your passive income empire? Or will you keep repeating the same financial mistakes that keep most people stuck? Drop a comment below and let me know. What's your first step toward financial freedom? And if this content was valuable to you, consider supporting our ministry through the link in the description. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next lesson on building wealth God's way.